All right, so we were talking about scatter plots and trend lines, and that's a great way to organize data. But today we're going to talk about a different way or different technique to analyze data. That just means if I have a bunch of data points or a bunch of numbers, how can I describe the data and pull information off of it without having to look at each individual number? So the first thing I need to remind you is that in the past you have learned these 4 words: mean, median, mode, and range. Your mean is just the average of the numbers. That means you add them all up and divide by how many there are. The median is whatever number is in the middle if the points are in order from least to greatest. Your mode is whatever number repeats the most. And then your range is just the difference, or when you subtract the biggest number and the smallest number. So the difference between the largest data point and the smallest one. All right, that part was a review. The new part we're going to talk about is a 5-number summary. Now, it's called that very simply because it is a way to summarize your data using 5 different numbers: minimum value, first quartile, median value, third quartile, and maximum value. Now, those words might not mean a lot to you right now, but here in a minute, I'm going to go through an example, and then I'll point out each one of those values. So what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you pause your video and write down this table. We're going to say this is the high temperatures for some city over a 15-day period. They calculated how hot it got, and they recorded it. So go ahead and write this down. All right, the first thing I'm going to have you do is you need to put this data in order from least to greatest. Ready, set. All right, so I have my data in order from least to greatest. All right, our 5-number summary. The first number is your minimum value. That just means your smallest number. So right here, my 68 is the smallest number, so I'm going to say that that is my minimum. So I'm going to go ahead and label that minimum. The other really easy one is going to be your maximum. So you just go to your biggest number, 76, and that's going to be called my maximum. The next one we're going to look at is we're going to go to the middle and do our median. So all that means is when they're in order from least to greatest, start covering up numbers until you get to the middle. So my middle is 74. So that is my median. All right. Quartile 1 and quartile 3 are kind of the not trickier ones, but those are the ones you probably don't know. So pay close attention. For quartile 1, we are only looking at the numbers that are less than the median. So we're going to cover up the rest of the data. We're only looking at the first half of the data. We're going to find the middle number from these. So I'm going to do the same thing, cover up until I get to the middle. The middle number is 71. That's my quartile 1 right here. A quick way to label it is just Q1. All I did was only looked at the first half of the data and then chose the number that was right in the middle. For quartile 3, you're going to do the same thing except with the second half of the data. You're going to cover up the median, and then you're going to find what number is in the middle. So if I cover them up, this 75 is in the middle. So 75 is my quartile 3, or to kind of make it a little easier, you can just write Q3. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are the 5 numbers in my 5-number summary. The last number that we're going to have is called your interquartile range. We call it IQR. And you just take the number at Q3 and subtract the number at Q1. So we would do 75 minus 71, and you would get that your interquartile range is 4. The reason that's important is because it tells you if your data is really spread out, you'll have a big interquartile range. If your data is really, really close to each other, you'll have a small one.